Hey guys, in my hand I have an asset that I purchased a couple years ago and it's gone up about 3,300%. And in this video I want to talk to you about investments like this, how you can buy them and how you can make money off of them, but most importantly I want to talk to you guys about the process of finding undervalued assets and potentially making a lot of money off them. Now here's the thing, this video can't be monetized, or it's going to be monetized very poorly because it's going to be in the controversial class, because I'm going to talk to you about things like Bitcoin and silver and gold and what's in the little white box down there, because these are all investments that I really don't hear about on YouTube very much. Now, everybody knows about Bitcoin, and I like Bitcoin. I don't know that I've ever fully addressed it in a video, but I've held Bitcoin since 2011. Now, some of you guys would immediately think that I'm filthy rich off of it, but that's not true. See, back in 2011, you could get Bitcoin for free by going to something called a faucet. You would input your wallet ID, hit send me money, and you would get about half a Bitcoin a day. I ended up getting 5, 6, 7 Bitcoins back in 2011. And then when 2012 rolled around, Bitcoin went up to about 50 cents a piece, and I lost all of them, not through spending them, but I actually had my account hacked. My wallet was compromised and I lost the Bitcoin. Then in 2013, I got back into a little bit of Bitcoin and Litecoin. Then I got into Dogecoin in 2014 and then Ripple in 2015. And I've been in cryptos for quite some time, but like a lot of other investments, I dabble in just a little bit of every type of investment out there. So I never got rich off Bitcoin or any of the altcoins, but I've made decent money. And the thing is that I found that if you develop a mindset to look for opportunities, you gain knowledge in those fields of different kinds of investments, you can do super well. Life wouldn't be complete if I didn't talk about Pokemon cards. This is not mine. This is actually my 11-year-old daughter, Juliet. This is her Charizard. She was sent a couple booster packs here recently, and we were going through them, and I saw that she got a Charizard. The booster pack, I think it was probably a $4 or $5 booster pack, and this card right now is retailing for between $50 and $75. And when we got it out of the booster packs, my daughter's first desire, the first thing she wanted to do with it was go use it and play with her friends. I told her, no, we need to get a protecting case for it and keep it because it's actually worth a lot of money. She didn't understand that this could be considered an investment, or it's at least a high value item. Like a lot of people, she possessed in her hand something of really great value, but she didn't understand it. A lot of people, from what I've seen, get those kinds of investments where they get that kind of an asset and they just have no clue what they have, and their knowledge prevents them from doing well with it. Here's another one that I like. I love nickels because you can regularly pull out of circulation silver nickels. I bet most of you didn't know that between 1942 and 1945, the U.S. government replaced practically all of the nickel content in our currency as far as nickels go, and replaced it with silver. See, during World War II, nickel was more valuable for the wartime effort than silver was, and they replaced the nickel with silver. And I run into silver nickels all the time. They're worth about $1, $1.50 a piece when you find them in the currency, and I get these at the laundromat pretty often. So I keep these when I find them out of circulation, but a lot of people don't know that that's a thing, so they lose out on $1 extra in change. But that's another example of how people's knowledge prevents them from making money. These are, I've got a Morgan silver dollar and I've got a peace dollar. These are another thing that's worth quite a bit of money, a peace dollar and a Morgan dollar. These are worth maybe $25 a piece. And when I was a teenager, I went to an auction where my great aunt and uncle passed away, and I bought boxes of these, and I paid $5 per box, I think. I did really, really well off of them, and I still have them today. People had no interest in buying silver coins 20 years ago when the price of silver was low, but I bought these coins and did pretty well. Another thing that I really love are $2 bills. A lot of people I know collect these and they just love them, and I love them too. They have just some of the best artwork, really neat history in the $2 bill, and they're worthless. Well, they're worth $2 face, but very rarely do you ever run into a $2 bill that's actually collectible. But I run into a lot of people that collect these things, and they don't realize that, oh, beyond face value, there's really not a whole lot of reason to collect these unless they have a red seal, or they're stamped, or there's something very, very specific with them. But I run into people that have thousands and thousands of dollars worth of $2 bills, and it just doesn't really benefit them. So you have to have knowledge knowledge and understanding of what you're getting into. This could potentially kill me. This is another thing that I got into 4 or 5 years ago. This is something called uranium glass. It's actually made out of either radium or uranium. I can't remember which one, but it glows under a UV light. It emits alpha radiation. I don't know if we would get it close to the camera if the sensor would start throwing off errors, but you can't keep these really close to you in your house, and you can't breathe in any dust that comes off them because it's an actual radioactive piece. I used to go to yard sales here in Ohio, which these are very common because the Fenton company made millions of these, and Fenton's right here in Ohio. And I would go to yard sales and I would buy these candlesticks for $2, $3, $4 a piece. I knew that if it is really bright, nice green, there's a chance that it is radium glass or uranium glass, and these sell for between $50 and $100 a piece. I think this is the last uranium glass that I have. There were tons of money, and I was providing myself a 10 times multiplier on this kind of glass. I would also buy something called Carnival glass made by Fenton as well, and I'd buy Cobalt glass because my dad always liked it. And I used my knowledge at yard sales to go and I would buy glassware and make really good money off it. Now for the controversy. I hold in my hands a Schmidt-Rubin 1889. I would ask you guys, what do you think this is? A lot of people would say, well, it's a firearm, Brandon, but that's not really true. Under federal law, this is considered an antique, not gun. Because it was manufactured before 1889, it's not considered a firearm, and you can, in most states, mail this to people's houses because it's considered an antique, and it can't hurt anybody. According to the federal government. At least that's how I read the laws. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and invest in antique firearms, but I got this one for a princely sum of $0. A guy I went to church with years ago showed me a picture of this sitting in his garage or somewhere, and he said, do you know what that is? And I said, yeah, it's a Schmidt-Rubin 1889. It's a commission rifle that Switzerland came up with during the late 1800s. A lot of those countries in Europe decided to form commissions to manufacture firearms for the next war, and this is a commission rifle. The Germans and the French did the same thing with the Lebel and the Gewehr 88, and I gave him information on it, and he said, oh my gosh, Brandon, you know about these things. Well, years later, when he had to get rid of a lot of firearms, he called me up and said, hey, Brandon, do you want that old rifle that I sent you information on? I said, sure, how much do you want for it? And he said, just come to my house and pick it up. So I drove 15 miles in my Kia, and however much that costs in gasoline is what I have in this rifle. Now, the thing is, I've gone online and looked on antique dealer websites, and this rifle's worth between $500 and $750. Now, I'm not telling you to befriend older people in the hope that they give you expensive stuff. But the thing is, to me, that's a huge, wonderful example of what happens when you have knowledge. My knowledge for this kind of firearm was very much appreciated by Mr. Harry, who lives south of me, and he rewarded my knowledge with this firearm that I will keep in my possession and never sell, probably. Unlike this one, I purchased another rifle off another elderly gentleman. His dad brought it back from World War II, and I spent, I think, $200 on that one, and the last time I checked, the value of that antique firearm was in the $1,500 to $2,000 range. Now, in those situations, I didn't have to con anybody out of anything. I didn't have to beat anybody up. I used my knowledge to gain a return on the marketplace. The reason I wanted to do this video today was I headed to an auction house where I took quite a bit of stuff that I've collected over the past few years to, because I know that this asset is up in value significantly. I was informed that they were writing me a check for around $20,000 because of collectibles that I had sold at the auction. Meanwhile, I've hired a kid to go and sell stuff that I have pulled out of some of my rental properties. I had to meet him at the auction house because he had sold an antique oak mantle that we had pulled out of a rental 4 years ago for $1,000. In this specific house, the tenants had damaged it, they had neglected it, and it was a beautiful piece of oak artwork from either 1880 or I think it was 1890. When I saw it, I identified immediately that it was an antique oak mantle and it had an actual silver mirror behind it. because back in the 1800s, they didn't have these kinds of reflective glass or aluminum like they use now. They actually used real silver to make mirrors, and I made $1,000 off of it because I had some knowledge in it. And what I want you guys to learn is there's so many ways that you can make money and you can invest in all sorts of things, and it's based off of your knowledge and your ability to negotiate and communicate. Here tomorrow, I'm closing on multiple pieces of real estate with businesses attached for $750,000. And I've done that through my power of negotiation, and we've done it with no credit. We're closing in the name of an LLC where I am not a personal guarantor on any loans. And I've done that through my knowledge of real estate. Now, any of these assets that I talk about in the video, I don't throw all my money in them. I don't throw all my money in silver. I don't throw all my money in glassware or antique firearms or whatever it is. I don't throw all my money in that, but I kind of spread it out and get my fingers into a little bit of everything. Sure, 85 to 90% of my money's in real estate, but I play around with all these other investments just to see if I can do them. And I find that if I develop a good mindset of how to learn about things on the internet, I do really, really well. So now for the box. This is a box of Federal 22 36 grain long rifle. It's ammunition. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but ammunition right now is absolutely through the roof. When I purchased these in 2008, I spent a princely sum of 0.75% a piece. So this cost me less than a penny right here, this bullet did. And I put them in storage, and I bought tens of thousands of these because Dick's Sporting Goods was getting rid of them by the case for $25 a piece. So I took a lot of these, let me put it that way, to the auction house. And they were selling these boxes, and there's 50 in here, so it cost me 35 cents per box. I took hundreds of these to the auction house, and they resold these with some other things that I had, and I ended up getting the $20,000 or so worth of sales from an auction. There's even some things that they included in the auction that I had bought off a previous auction 1 year ago, and I'm just moved from one auction to another auction because this auction that did really well for me was properly advertised on Facebook. The prior auction was not advertised at all, and it was just regulars that showed up, and everything sold under price. So I just bought it and held it. Now, I'm not telling you guys to go out and buy ammunition. I'm not telling you guys to go out tomorrow and buy silver, and I'm not telling you absolutely to go out and buy decks of Pokemon boosters. But the thing is, I want you guys to be wise about your investments. And whether that's your GME options or Pokemon cards or 22 long rifle, I want you guys to learn all you can about investments and develop a wide range, because what works for me as a redneck here in Ohio might not work for somebody in California. It might. There's a lot of different things going on with our dynamic economy, and there's so many ways to make money, in my opinion, that you can do it. So needless to say, I'm really happy about how much money I've made off these, and now I've got a $20,000 return burning a hole in my pocket right now. I don't know what I'm going to get in. Make sure you comment below and you tell me what you think I should buy with my $20,000. Should it be vending machines? Maybe it'll be a gas station. I don't know, but I think I could have a lot of fun with that. This year I would like to buy a house and show you guys how to rebuild a house. So thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe.